PowerDirector's Mask Designer is a great tool for creating special effects that are cool and also very useful in your projects. In this video, I'm going to show you two different useful effects you can create with Mask Designer. Now, when you look at that video example I just showed you, you might be thinking, why is this a mask example? Why isn't this simply picture-in-picture? And I'll show you exactly why that's the case. So let's take a look at the images that are in this stack here that we're going to be working with. On the top of this image, on the bottom row, is the scenic video that I'm going to put on the screen on that monitor. I'll hide that, and now behind it you can see the monitor, which is just a black screen. And then if I scroll up to the top row, I've got a white background. You can see, I'll turn that off for a second. The picture of the TV isn't actually 16 by 9, so I've got this black gap on either side, so I just put a white background behind it. And then as I scroll down, you can see the picture that I'm going to put, actually a video clip that I'm going to put on the screen on that monitor. Let's double click on the picture. Let me give myself a little bit more room in the background. Sorry if you hear the dog barking in the background. Okay, now I'm in PIP Designer, and I'm just going to resize this thing down, try to get it to fit that screen. All right, we'll move it up here, and now you're starting to see what my problem is. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's fitting the width of that monitor, but you can see it's not the same shape of rectangle. If I pull this down, you can see the rectangle there is not the same shape, because this is basically the right width, but obviously there's still black showing on the screen. I can't make the rectangle that is the video clip the same shape as the rectangle that's on the monitor itself. So that's the problem. That's a limitation with PIP, and that's what we're going to mess with the mask function with. So I'm going to say no to that. Let's come over to here, and this is the exact same setup, just another copy of it. So let's go double click on this to go into PIP. Give myself some room to work. Let's scrunch this thing down. And really all I want to do is get it so it's covering everything top and bottom and side to side. So it's a little bit big, but that's fine. And I'm going to leave it like that. Now let's go into the Mask Designer. And I'm going to put a rectangle mask on. There it is. Now all we have to do is size this rectangle so it fits the shape of the monitor. And there it is. Now the picture of the drone flight over the water fits on the monitor just fine. I hit OK, and it's all done. This is a really simple example, but a very common example of what you can use the mask tool to create, and that's to reshape an object to fit the area, the shape and the area that you want it to fit in. Let's do one more thing with this setup. So here I've got the same stack of three things. I've got the white background, the image of the monitor, and then I've got the video clip of the drone flying out over the lake. This time, I'm going to do the same thing, basically. I want to put this video clip on that monitor screen. But this time, I only want to include a little part of this clip. I only want the top part here to be on that video monitor. I don't want all this other stuff to show on there. I got to crop that out. This time, I'm going to go into the mask designer first instead of the PIP designer. And let's put a rectangular mask on there. Now, I don't really care about the monitor at this point. All I want to do is crop this mask down to the point where it's including only that part of the image that I want to show up. And it doesn't have to be the right size. It's certainly not, it doesn't have to be the right shape. It's certainly not the right size. But let's say that, yeah, make it a little smaller here. This is what I want to appear on that monitor. All right. So I've got that cropped down. I hit OK. Now, obviously, it doesn't fit, but we're going to fix that now. I'm going to go into the PIP designer. Let's expand this a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Now, you see the white boxes around the edges here? That's the whole image. We don't see this part of the image because it's masked out. All we see is this little area here. But the whole image is here. So let's grab one of these white boxes and expand this and move this down. Now I can, well, not quite yet. I got to zoom in a little bit more. Let's go up to 100%. Okay, so we can see that this fits from left to right. You got the silver line at the edge of the monitor and the silver line at the edge of this side. You've got, it maybe needs to go up a tiny bit, but the problem is that there's too much at the bottom, right? We'll fix that by going back to the mask designer. We're done with PIP. I hit OK. I go back to masks. And now I just resize the mask to fit the screen. And I hit OK. And now that cropped portion of the image is fitting on the screen. So now you can start to understand how PIP and mask work together. You can go back and forth to make something fit the general area that you want to include, then resize it to fit the screen, and then go back and fine-tune it with the mask to get it exactly the way you want. Are you interested in finding a video editing program that is powerful, easy to use, and inexpensive? PowerDirector is a great choice for people new to video editing and experienced editors alike. On screen is a review of PowerDirector so you can learn more about the program, but if you're ready to buy PowerDirector, follow the link in the description below. You'll get the best available price for PowerDirector, and you'll help support this channel so I can make more tutorials for you in the future. Let's get a little bit spooky here. I'm going to bring a crystal ball down on my timeline. And I'm going to make this 7 seconds and 17 frames. Only because that's how I set this up originally, and that's the number I have in my head. You can obviously do it for as long as you want. Now, I need to do a little bit of work in picture-in-picture editor. Give it some room here. First, we got to stretch this out so it fills up the frame. There we go. Okay, that. Move it up just a tad. There we go. Now we got the whole ball on there. Now I want to do a fade, so we can just go over to our transitions and throw a fade on the beginning and a fade on the end. Let's add our spooky face. Here she is. I'm going to drop her on the timeline. I want her coming in just about the time this fade in is done on the crystal ball. That looks pretty good. And let's see, let's cut her down. I want her to be done by the time the fade out starts here. All right, let's go into Mask Designer. And we are going to mask her out. Now I could pick this one. Yeah, that works just fine. We're going to reshape this a little bit. That looks pretty good. Now, this obviously is not the full size of this by the time it gets done with its effect. But right now, over a little bit more. Right now, we're just isolating the part of the image we want in our mask. All right. Now let's hit OK. Okay, so we've got the mask drawn. Now let's go into the PIP designer. Double click on this. First thing I want to do is bring her down so she's centered a little bit. Maybe make her a little smaller. Now I want to hit stop. That puts the cursor at the beginning of the timeline. I want to hit position, scale, and opacity. Now let's go over to here and let's hit position, scale, and opacity. Then I want to go over here. Come on. And this time I'm just going to hit opacity. Go near the end and I'll hit opacity. Okay, let's go back to the very beginning. In this case, I want my opacity to be 0. Now let's jump over to here. First thing I'm going to do is resize this. And center it up a little better. And for opacity, I'm going to choose about like that. How's that? Make her a little bigger. There we go. All right, so it will grow. It'll increase in size and grow in darkness to that point. Now, this one is going to duplicate the previous keyframe because I don't want it to change. And then for the last one, we're going to fade it out to 0. There we go. Now all you have to do is add a little spooky music. Now we got the music in place. We got the fade out at the end, match the fade out of the image. I'm going to click that just to make sure we're all synced up at the beginning. Let's watch it. Now that you've seen 2 different ways to use Mask Designer, I hope you'll start to make more use of this powerful tool to improve the visual quality of your PowerDirector projects. On screen are links to more PowerDirector tutorials. Be sure to click on the cartoon Jeff to subscribe so you'll know when more tutorials come out. And be sure to hit thumbs up and leave a comment to tell me what you want to learn about PowerDirector next.